Hi, Bo here from High Tech Investment, and welcome back to the channel, where today we're going to talk about the Profit Retriever again. We're going to have a closer look on winning strategies with the Profit Retriever, and especially also how we do the set files. We have done previous videos on this particular one. Now we take it one step further. Now, why is this important and why should you watch this particular video here? Well, there's a couple of options in it. First of all, you can get some inspiration to your own set files, how you do this. We want to have also a bit of a communication going. So once you have actually reviewed the video here, we will be happy to see how you are doing things and if you are getting different results than we do. On top of this, also, if you are interested in trading, but this sounds way too complicated, then there's also the option that you can go in and use the Copylink Trading that is part of Expert Forex Premium Forum. And for those people, it's also very interesting to see how we actually get to the different results and how you can actually find the links in there that provide some good and stable results. And that is, again, what this is all about. We are looking at good consistent results where we can continue to trade. We have been trading the Profit Retriever now for almost a year, minus 3 weeks. So it's coming up very, very fast. And we have some excellent results to actually prove that this has worked. We have been through a lot of different EAs over the time, and all of them seems to be reasonable. And then all of a sudden something happens and you might lose even more than you invested in the first place. Some other people are simply just too aggressive on the strategies. But we do find that this has been the best robot that we have ever traded. And that's why we want to show you also our winning strategies. So either you can try it for yourself, or as we said, you can go on the Copylink service. So what you'll see in today's video basically looks something like this, where we go through the set file guide. And most probably everybody who has something to do with robot trading knows the setup of these particular ones. You can see the graph below. It basically shows you the development over time of the profit that you can get. And obviously the bump on the roads are the drawdowns that you will have using this robot. Also the white gaps, so that you will see down in the green. It's also where you will find some drawdowns along the way, but it's very important obviously to understand how big they are and if it's actually tradable, so within reason. Now, if you have a look at the testing results that we're going to have a look at later here also, you can see that we are close to net profit. This was done from 1st of August and then basically forward to mid-February here. And it shows results of about 18,000 with a drawdown of 16.2% or $2,343. And these are the things which is obviously very easy to find, to set up a single set file and you trade with that. But if you have seen the first video, you will know that there's a lot more to it, where we try to create stability within our signals themselves to make sure that we can sleep at night and we can also share some good stable results for other people to trade. So again, it is very imperative for us that we can make sure that these are good, stable, and can deliver over time, so we don't have to adjust them every single day, every single week. So it is not such a temperamental EA setup that we have. We know and can see and understand that this can be traded over time at different points in time also, and more about that. Now, we are not just telling you stories here, because we can basically prove everything that we have. And we have made everything available pretty much since day one. On our website itself, you will find all the results from trading the Profit Retriever, and we have just put some of the details in here. And as you can see, history from our portfolio trading, we started off with about 3 or 4 EAs. Since then, it has developed into more than 20, and at the moment in this portfolio here, we have 23. We will take in and replace some of them with something that runs better. But at the moment, this is what we have. So 347 days at the time we're shooting this particular video here. You can see the weekly returns are 2.8%, monthly returns more than 12%, and the balance is 421. Equity is about 400,000 at the moment. Close profit, 191,000. Each of these trading accounts is set up on, in this particular case, it is demo accounts that we start to set them up with. And then we take the best ones and put them on live accounts. And that is the reason why it's a demo. On top of this here, you will also see that we started with 23 and everyone has 10,000. So basically the starting capital in this portfolio is 230,000 and everything else is basically a profit. Total returns, as you can see, is more than 200%. Trade wins 68.5, which is quite common. So within most of the profit retriever is normally somewhere between the low 60s up until the low 70s in that percentage mark here. So what we're going to have a look at here today is basically the profits that we have made over time. And if we have a look here, we can see it goes all the way back to March 2022. And again, we started off with the beta testing of this particular EA. And then from there on, we developed this into our own signals and then also launched many of these signals with Expert Forex Premium Forum back in, I think it was August or September 2022. So it's still only about 5 months old. Now, we obviously use all these signals also for our own benefits on live accounts, and they are exactly the same as you'll see on the copy trading links. Now, if we have a look back in March, we just made 1,800. And the reason for that was basically we had about a week of trading, I believe, back then. Since then, more EAs has come in. And you can see the net profit in April was 10,000, pretty much the same in May, going up in June. And then in July also, again, 10,000. August was a very slow trading month, basically. So we dropped all the way down to 7,400. And then in September it started really to pick up again. And we also started to develop more EAs. We started to try and see if we could also trade it on crypto and different types of indexes, which is now also part of the whole package here. The main part we saw was in January, we made 30,000 on the portfolio here. And February looks to be pretty okay. We only have a few trading days left. But at the time here, it's 23,000, so excellent results month on month. Now, if you haven't seen this particular video here on the screen now, we suggest definitely before you watch the rest of this video, you go back and you have a look at that particular one, because it takes you through the first steps that we have done on the first initial steps of what we believe is important on the profit retriever settings. And this is basically the second video, taking things a bit further. So please go and have a look at that. We'll also make sure that it is linked in the description below, so you can easily find it, or we can even put it also on top here, so it's easier for you to find. Now, the different steps that we show also in the video you just saw here, we show step 1 and 2, and step 1 is the yellow one, where we basically go in and test the MA period. We go in and test the price gap size, together also with the change by rate and the phase 1 as it's called here. So those are the 3 in step 1 that we have done and has been covered in the video you saw before. Step 2 is the next one, where we normally go in and lot for initial trade. We set that up and we test that together with the target lot and also the close amount. And that is normally the steps that we do, especially when we start off with a new currency that we haven't tried before. That is the way where we go up here, and we might even go back again if we feel that the results are a bit too unstable, or we think that there's more to come. Then we can again initiate step 1 and see if we can improve that, and then go through step 2 one more time before we, as today here, now goes to step 3. And step 3 covers basically the pink part that you see here, so the start level for price gap. So that now means that not only do we change the lot size in here, but we also now change the price gap, because again, this is a grid trader, and basically the grid is determined so within the price gap size, as you see up here, so which says the 18, and normally it will continue in the same grid size. But what we are doing now in step 3 is we are playing around. So with the start level for price gap, and that means it will now open up after a certain amount. And in the start level here, we can see that after basically 3 trades, which means that the price is going against us here, we will slowly but surely open up. And there's 2 options within this particular one. You can see this percentage base, which is the 100 you see here, or there's also a pip scale. So you simply just change it there. And then you use the pink one down here. It says 2, the price gap scaling in pips. We're using that one, but basically it doesn't really matter which one it is. It's just the setup itself. So that's what we're going to go through here today to see exactly how that works and how that actually influences the profitability and, more importantly, the drawdown on the robot itself. Now, to make sure that everything makes a bit more sense here, we also have a graphical presentation on this particular one, and this is just the graph. It doesn't really matter which one it is here. We can see that the profit retriever in the lower corner setting off the first sale, and we can also see that the price is going against it. And what normally happens here then is that it starts opening up trades and it continues to set sell trades. In this particular case, it doesn't flip over to buy at any given point, but it hopes at one point that the price basically recovers. Now, this can happen quite quickly, but sometimes it doesn't. And that's where this particular settings we're going to talk about here today comes in. So as you can see here, in this particular case, we have set up the EA. So we're saying that the basically should start changing the price gap after 7 trades. And that would look like this particular one here. So the first trade is here, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And after that one, we go into a yellow area, as you can see here. And then the price gap now starts growing. So similar to what you saw here before, you start off with 18 and then continues to be 18 in the red areas here. After that, it will then start looking at after 7 times. It will then say, okay, how many pips now do we have to put in? And that is basically 18 plus 2. So starts going to 20, and then 20 plus 2, it will go to 22, and then the gaps will open up. And that will also normally reduce the drawdown. But obviously, we're going to have a closer look at exactly what are the impacts on this particular section. Now, the one we're going to have a look at today, and we're actually going to have a look at 2 of our links and how we set these things up. So one is British Pounds AUD, which is our link 52. You can find that in the coupling service. There's not many linking up with this one now because it is actually underperforming. That being said, have a look at the underperforming account here, 8.9% since we started off. 2% per week, and obviously, yes, we can see that it did very well in the beginning, and then it has ended up in the range of drawdowns, but still cashing in a bit. We want to make some changes to that. We have done that in the past, and some of them worked, obviously not for long, and then we have to adjust it again, and those are the changing market conditions that we have to try and adapt to. So with the profit retriever, there is no set and forget settings here. They will not work for years and years to come. So you have to be constantly on the move and see if there's new, better improved settings that you can use. But have a look at the account here, 338 days and counting here at the moment. So this is definitely an account that has not blown. And it has done still extremely well. You can see the balance was 26,000. At the moment, it's again within a small drawdown, so we have to make some changes to this particular one. But the equity is still 23,000, which means that it has more than paid for itself already. And if this was a live account, we could have taken 13,000 out, and this account will still be at 10. Plus, we could now make another account of 10,000. And maybe grab the leftover 3,000 from the equity and put it in our own pockets. But anyway, that's a strategy for a different day. So let's go and have a look at our Excel and see exactly how we can improve these particular signals. Now, I don't want to go through the entire process here again of phase 1 and 2, but basically this is phase 1 where we're just testing the M8 period, price gap, and also lot change size. And in this particular case, we have marked up some of the best ones. What we normally do with this is we have the profit, which is on C, and we have here G is the drawdown itself. And we're basically making a new section in here where we say, okay, drawdown versus profit gives a certain percentage, as you can see here. And that particular one, we are then sorting out to make sure that the lowest percentage is on top. And even though you can see that some of the drawdowns that you will find, for example, here is a bit lower than the top ones here, the percentage is higher because you basically end up with less profit if you are trading that particular part. Now, as always, we try, it's a bit like an IQ test here. You have to try and find patterns within what you are looking at. And most of the time, you're basically looking at the first maybe 10 or 12 of these particular signals. After that, the drawdown starts to be a bit bigger, or the profit might be a bit lower, but it is very, very different from time to time. Now, from what we tested here, we can see MA period. We can see that 5 and 7 actually adds up a few times. So we start marking some of them up, just for the ones that we find interesting. On top of this, we can see that very interesting, and why we are marking these two up, because it's not always the ones on top that you want to have. But we can see the price gap is the same, 5 and 7. So they go here several times, 5 and 7. And then we have price gap 32, which is the same. And we can also see here that 65 on the lot change chart is also the same. So we mark some of these up. And once we have done that, what we find is interesting, basically go over and sort them out instead. And we sort them out in MA period. So this is now K. We add another level to it and add the price gap. And the price gap here is L. And another level also again here, which is now M. And now we get the periods in here. So, and what we'll do is we'll just scroll down until we see something, and we should get there to 5. And in here we can now see that 532. So basically this is the whole area that we are looking at. And the ones we marked up before, we can now see them all together. We can see the lot change size 45. We didn't mark up because the drawdown is slightly higher, and at the same time the profits is slightly a lot lower. We can also see that on this particular one on 75. And then we can see that we have a few also here with the drawdown, which is a bit too high, 68, 76. So obviously they might not be so interesting. But if we continue a bit further down, we can then have a closer look at 7 here. And again, 7 look also good. They are all basically bunched up together here. And for that particular one, you can see that all of them are providing good steady profits. So the lowest one is actually 10,000. And again, you have to look at the drawdown, 86 it is here on 95. So in the 90s, it looks to be a bit bigger. And that is basically how we end up trying to find exactly which ones to test in here. And if we delete the levels again here and go back to the I part, we then in this particular test decided, okay, we're gonna just test these two settings here first to see if they are working well. Now you're going to see them here. So let me explain exactly what you're looking at. So the initial test was tested from 1st of August and up until the 11th of February in this particular case. So that is where we do the optimization itself, which is all that most people do. And those tests are here. You can see the MA value, the gap. This is the settings. So at the moment, we don't have level 3 in here. Only level 1 means that we continue the gap size will be the same all the way through. It's at 0, so it doesn't go up or down. Lot size, phase, basically target lot, which is how low it goes. And phase 2, it doesn't go up again, so it doesn't reverse. And we just cash in at 10 if the price has gone against us and we want to get out as soon as possible. And the same one under here. So now this is the difference itself that comes in, where we not only just take these set files and saying, okay, these are very good results, But what we are actually trying to do is, are these stable results? So that means that if we now take the settings that we did on optimization 1st of August, and we now say, try test them. Okay, if we now take those settings, we load it again into our MT4, and we now run them. So from a period of the 1st of June up until the 11th of February, or if we have more data, we will maybe even run it the week after. But we will note down the parts, and in this particular case, you can see that the we'll have it here, we'll have the numbers. We go all the way back to May, and we will then run the profits. So the profit is set up here, and you can find that all the way through. And down here, you will have the drawdown, and the same for the second one. Now, what you can see within the first one, the 5MA here, is that you have a good, decent profit, and it declines slowly but surely. Obviously, it should, because we are testing shorter and shorter time frames, so less time to make up the money. But we are more interested, of course, also to see the drawdown itself, which is this particular section. We can see that the 1st of May, there seems to be the highest concern, the highest issue here. But after that, the drawdown is pretty consistent with about 2,400. Again, this is the highest at any given time. And looking at this, it looks like it's somewhere around after 10th of October, which is the highest, which means that because all of them have it here, so it could be that this could be as low as 500 or 1,000 even. And we now do the second test here also, so saying, okay, let's do another test. Even though we have this result and this looked okay, how stable is this particular setting here now? If we try it and again test it from the 1st of May and then all the way up here, and we see a similar results also, where the profit is slowly but surely declining, so in a regular linear way. And again here we see, okay, that is it. So these are the first settings, and based on this we are now going into the second phase, and we have to now choose which one we want to use. In this particular case we are using the MA5 here, and again we have a lot of history of how the settings has been before, what has worked best, what hasn't worked. So we have adjusted things to basically match up with this. And now here comes the fun part. So we're not going to do another optimization test just with these particular two here, where we are basically going gap size up until from 1 to 10. And then the progression itself for the pips will be from 0 up to 20. On the same timeline, no, we actually go in where we see the highest drawdown and say, okay, let's try and adjust it. But now we're running the optimization from 1st of May all the way up until the 11th of February. And we're going to go to that Excel now. So once we've loaded the MT4, so with the new settings, and we actually get them back in, so all the optimization files, we load them onto the Excel, and it looks like this here again. And once more, you can see C is profit, G is drawdown on that particular one. And obviously now the drawdown looks a bit bigger, but remember we started off 1st of May where things are was a lot heavier. And again, we put the section I in here, where we are basically just doing up the drawdowns versus the profit again. We want to see which ones is the best. And so far we can see that price cap level 7, so that means after the first 7 trades here, we basically scale it up with 4 pips each time. Now you can see there's other ones that might also be good here. We can see a couple of 8s, we can see a couple of 10s in here, and again we can see some 5s, but it looks like most of the ones, especially in the beginning here, has to be from at least 6, maybe 7. We have to start off. We also want to take into consideration that we don't want to end up with big gap scalings either, because that way it could be that we can't get the retracement back. But again, we highlight a few things and see how they turn out. So in this particular case, we say, okay, where are we with 7? And what we do one more time, is you can sort it. We change that to what is called K in here, so price gap scaling. And again, we then go for the pip itself, which is now L. There you go. And now we see all the price gap scaling levels. And we have a look here. And we can see, okay, so these are now the numbers. We can see the profits, 28, 24, 26, 28, 26, 22. And also the drawdowns are here. And the worst one is actually price gap 8. So we say, okay, we need to find a good level where we can both have the profits, because it looks like 10, we are losing range of profit here. But the drawdown continues to be low, but we want to have somewhere in between. And that's where we're ending up here with basically 27. And we say, okay, 7 levels. And we are now taking just 4 pips. We don't want to take too much here again. You can see there's another one. If we have a look at 8, obviously there's also opportunities here. And it is entirely up to you how you want to interpret these things. This is also a stable one. And you can say, okay, we can also run tests on this one. It does produce some similar numbers. And again, you also have a drawdown. And the drawdown might be slightly better because on this one it's 4,900, on the other one it's 4,800. But I said that is roughly the level where you want to be at. So, and you can then see them in a different light and then try and figure out how stable are they. What you are basically looking at is you want to have as similar results as possible. You want to see when things are not so good, when they become really good, and then when they fade off again. And that's basically you want to try and put your settings right in the middle. So in this particular one, we have now put the two together so you can actually compare them. So the top one we have up here is the first test that we did with the 532. You can see that the price cap level is 1 and nothing is changing up here. The one that we have just had a look at was the 28,612, 3,774. Testing out of 1st of May. And basically what we have now done is we have tested that setting, which is the same one. So 532, but now we have the price level gap. Starts off at 7 and then it goes by 2 pips at a time. Lot size and everything else stays the same. And we do the testing both for June, July, August, September and October. And what we are looking for again here is you can see if you compare the two, we can actually see we're getting about 1,000 more. So out of from 1st of May, and at the same time, we are actually dropping the overall drawdown. So with a couple of hundred, that's what we want to see. And again, also here, so for June, again, a bit more profit and slightly down. So on the drawdown, not much, but again, we were more interested in the top one, the high one. And we can see it's still consistent no matter the changes that we have done in here. Even for the short term, we can see that we made about $400 more, even if we would have started to run this test back in October. So those are just some of the things that we basically take out of this one here. And then obviously we have the nice graph down here also saying, okay, this is definitely the settings that we want to run. And we will take them from there on then. Now, the next one we want to have a look at, and we're going to go a bit more fast through this particular one, is the Euro New Zealand. So this is our link 56C. And as you can see again, it has also done extremely well. A little broker issue here again, where a big price movement came very, very quickly. And by the time it cashed in, it basically the price moved back again. It ended up in slight minus. That's why you see the little dip here. But as you can see, it has done extremely well over time. And then it ended up in a drawdown, came very good again. And now we seem to be in a bit of a drawdown again. It has cashed in. Floating profit is only minus 71, so not too bad. Again, this is one of the old ones. So it's almost 200 days, 198. And we can also see that the balance is 15,835. Basically, equity is almost the same here at 15,764. So it is doing quite well. It is a demo account, yes, because we are using those to set everything up. Total return 57%. Monthly return, as we said, this is also underperforming, but I think most people would be very happy with 7.1% because you're not even getting that from your bank in an entire year. So, and it might be closer to what you would actually get if you go to an professional investment company. You might get something like this or maybe double, but here we get it every single month. So obviously a lot better. Weekly return is 1.6%. As you can see, Tradewinds here is a bit lower, so 64.5. But again, within the low 60s and the low 70s is normally where we at. So let's have a look at the Excel for this particular one and how we made that up. So based on the previous one we just tested, we are simply doing the same thing here again. You can see again we have K up here, so which is the MA period. We have L, which is the gap and lot change. And then we go through the same process as I just showed you before. We try to find certain things that are matching up. You can see there's a few down here that matches up with the periods, with the gap sizes. We've just found that the gap 30 might be a bit too big compared to what we had already. And also because we want to implement now phase 3, which means that you can actually go a bit down in gap size what you had before. That will normally increase your income, and it would normally sometimes also increase your drawdown. But if you're now then putting an additional guard safe in, so when it comes to opening up the gap again, then it's a possibility. But anyway, we are trying different things. As you can see also here, we try gap size 22, 24, and I will show you here on the Excel exactly how that works and how that comes out. So in this particular case, we are just focused on the top part up here. And the first one, we do the test, we set it up. This is the MA, and you'll notice that for the first 3 that we have here, we don't have the price gap in here. So that is not part of it. We are just want to know which, again, settings that is stable enough so we can take it to the next level, and in this particular case to the 3rd level. So we see again we starting off testing 1st of August, and then we want to try and test exactly what is coming out of this. So, and basically the thing that we want to try here is to make sure that it's stable. And what we end up with once again is that 1st of May there is a bit of an issue here. So that is the biggest one, and that again shows that there is changes in the market. That's why you find these particular drawdowns. And normally the changes in the market, we are talking about the currency trending at that particular time. And you want to try and capture that because that is the worst time for this particular robot. So obviously you want to find those areas, and then you want to test those areas. It's easy enough when things are moving sideways. You can use even smaller gap sizes, but you have to be ready. You have to be sure that you are set up for when these things happen. And that's why, obviously, again, we look at it and saying this is a very good setting. 38,000 when we tested back in May. The maximum is 6.8. It's obviously very high. We prefer to do something lower, but again, we can then change the lot size later on if that's what we want. We want to find some good stable profits, of course, and we want to have some good stable drawdowns all the way through. Again, it looks like here, this in between here and here, there was a drawdown that was basically between 2,600 and 2,800. After we're testing 1st of October means that some of this has gone away, but again, there is more drawdowns to be had later on. So that one looks to be good, but obviously we are testing other ones. So we also test when we have a gap 22, and normally you would think, okay, gap 22, it's certainly better than 18. You should be more safe. Well, just have a look at it again. And this is where it comes back that you will basically crash and burn with that particular setting here. So if you had the same one, and then if you started 1st of June, it will be okay. And then again, it won't be okay when you come to July, but August would be okay. Obviously, this is also where we started off the testing, so they should be positive. So we try another one, and this time around, we try the MA, and we open up the gap size even to 24. And again, then we see, okay, it's doing quite well. It's surviving. but obviously a massive drawdown of 12,000. And funny enough, you now also have a high drawdown here when it comes to all the other months, except for August when it was previously tested. And these are some of the things that you have to be aware of, that just because you are changing the gap size, it doesn't necessarily mean that things are getting better. It is again a bit the profit retriever never really stops trading. It's always finishing one trade and then opening up the next. The only single time that you won't have this particular thing happen is that if the spread is beyond what you have set it for the robot itself. So if, for example, we set it the spread at maximum 5 and the profit retriever would basically close one trade, it would start the next one. But if the spread is 6, 7 or higher, then it will basically wait until the spread comes down again and then put the next one in. But normally it will be a continuous move all the way through, all the way week by week, month by month. It will never really stop. So the next thing we are now doing is we find out that, okay, we want to go ahead with this. This seems to be the right settings. And what we then do is we go back and then double check the gap size itself. And in here, we did exactly the same thing as we showed you here before. Again, we have the profit over here. We have the drawdown here. And then percentage, where again, we make it up and say, okay, what is the best profit versus drawdown we can have? And don't forget, we are again testing now on the 1st of May because we want to basically try and get the drawdown as much as possible. And that is best done to find the worst month to test in. And the first thing we see here is, we can see here, okay, there's actually price gap scaling is at 10, and 0, 2, and 6 are the best ones. And you can see there's actually quite a few where it says, well, you shouldn't do any price gap scaling in the first place. The system is actually okay and working. So you can even go with some of these if you want and saying, okay, we're just going to leave it like that. We normally prefer not to go to some of these here where you can see you have a massive price gap scaling that are coming up. And you can also see that it might not always be the best way forward. So it could be that the drawdown even goes up because there's not enough movement to close down everything. So very interesting way of having a look at the profit retriever. As more you test, you figure out that more is not always better. There is a certain system to it. And the best one we have is basically you go step by step as we have done here. And what you then get is, in this particular case, we ran the gap size again. So after 10 times, we now open up with 2 pips every single time. You can see everything else is the same as we had on the opposite one here. And those are now the differences in here. We can see that the sum is 38,000, so pretty much the same. We can see that the profit is slowly but surely going down here, which is again what we need to see. And we can also see that we have reduced the drawdown by about 1,000. So if we started off first, and we can see also we have reduced the rest of them with $150 in here and still having a nice little profit. You can see that some of the months will give a bit more, like this one here, and on that one here you can see we're losing out $300 or $400, which is okay. So we are more interested in the stability of it overall. And at the end of the day, we end up saying, okay, let's run these. Let's upload them now to the MT4 platform, and let's now try and trade them for a certain period of time to see if this will improve the results. Now, if you want to know more about the profit retriever and some of the videos that we have done, we have everything on our website, and you simply go on that. The links are always in the video description, so you can go and find them right there. And where you want to go if you are interested in basically setting up your own robots and then try and create set files similar to what we have just shown you here, then you go to the profit retriever trading, so the dark blue one on the right hand side. In there, you will find a lot more videos, including also videos from Alex and Expert4X that all will make sure that you get on the right path to try and trade this one here in a good, profitable manner. Now, if all this is simply too much gibberish, or it's simply too much work for you, because yes, these things definitely take time, I can tell you. So it is a lot of hours that we put into these, especially because we test them the way we do. But we prefer that to test them in such a manner, because we feel a lot more comfortable both with our own trading, but also because we have the CopyLink trading that you have. And on the left hand side here, you can go there instead. You don't even have to buy the robot. All you have to do is become a Premium Forum member. And then from there on, you can get a program. You put it on your MT4 section. We also have videos that cover some of all these things. And then we can basically trade for you. Doesn't necessarily have to be our signals, but there is other good traders out there, and you can use those signals. We provide all the FX Blue also on these particular sites here, so you can go in and have a look exactly if the risk and trade portfolio is something that you want to have a look at. Now, on top of this, Alex also has a range of different links, and as you can see here, from the 25th of February, so he has having a look at the best links in the last 8 weeks. And as you can see here, we actually highlighted and circled in, so in red, all our links that we have in here. So as you can see, there's quite a few links. So that is topping the past 8 weeks. And again, it is all about the stability that we try to build into the robot and the settings themselves. And that's what is very important to us, that we know that they will continue to deliver, and also that they can continue for a long period of time. You have already seen some of the links that we showed you and that we tested together with you here today, which is several hundred days old, and some of them are even coming up to 1 year. Obviously, we don't have more than 1 year of data, since the Profit Retriever only was released so in mid to end of March 2022. But we have basically been trading this since day one, and these are the results that we are getting. So we hope that this is a good indication that the settings and the way we are doing it, we are getting some really good results out of it. Now, we know that some of our videos can get a bit heavy, they can be a bit technical, but we think it's quite important to understand exactly what can and cannot work, or what you have to basically be aware of, because I think most people, they will find some settings and they will test them. It looks great. You can easily on the Profit Retriever make a profit of $50,000-$60,000, which means 500 or 600%. Because you have optimized them for that particular time frame and starting at that particular time. We are not interested in that. We are interested because things are changing, market are changing. We want to make sure they are so stable that you can basically throw them in the market within reason. We are not going back years and years. We are looking at the current market, and the current market is, as you can see, we're testing almost a year back and then moving forward there. And we find that that is the best way to get the stable results that we require. You might have different risk analysis of everything. And obviously, we would like to hear from you also on how you want to do it, what things you think is great about how we do it, and which ones are not. So definitely, we want the communication with you. So I hope that this has been a good tutorial. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, please, and also give us a thumbs up if you think this is really valuable to you. And we will obviously do more videos in the future. We are coming up to the 1-year birthday of the Profit Retriever, and we're going to have a closer look at exactly how well our entire portfolio has done. It looks like we are getting very, very close to the $200,000, which is quite amazing. Especially considering that we only started with 4 and we started to build even more on it only back in August. So as you can see, there is many other traders in the CopyLink service that are also providing very good profits, and that means that this EA is very stable. You just have to do a couple of small little things as we've shown you here, and then there is profit to be had. So I hope to see you on one of the next videos, and don't forget that on our news report every single week, We also go through the ups and downs of all these EAs and many other projects. So hope to see you around on the next video. Bye bye.